For over 1,000 years, one city stood as a beacon of civilization. Constantinople, now Istanbul. Once the capital of the Byzantine Empire, it was famed for its wealth, power, and faith. Imagine streets paved with marble, rooftops glittering with gold. This was Constantinople. Its strategic location bridged Europe and Asia, making it the medieval world's most important city. The Hagia Sophia, with its floating dome and golden mosaics, was the city's heart and a marvel of engineering. The Great Palace and the Hippodrome echoed with imperial luxury and Roman tradition. Merchants from across the world crowded its markets, trading silks, spices, and jewels. Scholars preserved ancient Greek and Roman knowledge, keeping the flame of learning alive while Western Europe struggled. The Byzantines saw themselves as the true heirs of Rome, their city a living testament. Constantinople was also the heart of Orthodox Christianity, filled with churches and relics that drew pilgrims from afar. The emperor was both ruler and God's representative, and the city was believed to be divinely protected. For its people, it was the queen of cities, eternal, sacred, and unbreakable. But by the 15th century, that faith would face its greatest test. The world was changing, and the city's fate hung in the balance. The legend of Constantinople was about to meet its destiny. By 1453, the Byzantine Empire was a shadow of its former self. Once stretching from Italy to Egypt, it now clung to Constantinople and a few scattered lands. The Fourth Crusades' sack in 1204 left deep scars. The city never truly recovered. Its population had shrunk from 1 million to less than 50,000, and much of the city lay in ruins. The empire was bankrupt, forced to sell treasures and rely on foreign charity. Emperor Constantine the Palaiologos, brave but desperate, pleaded for Western help, even offering church union, a move hated by many Byzantines. Yet, the city's legendary walls still stood, a formidable prize for any conqueror. For Christians, Constantinople was the last bastion of Rome. For the Ottomans, it was the ultimate prize. The stage was set for a final confrontation. The dying empire would soon face its greatest test. The fate of 1,000 years would be decided at its walls. Opposing the Byzantines was a young, ambitious ruler, Sultan Mehmed II. At just 21, Mehmed was underestimated, but he was brilliant, multilingual, and obsessed with history and conquest. His dream, to take Constantinople, fulfilling both personal ambition and an old Islamic prophecy. The city, surrounded by Ottoman lands, was the last obstacle to his empire. Mehmed moved with cunning, securing peace with rivals, lulling the Byzantines into false security. In 1452, he built Rumeli Hisari, a fortress on the Bosphorus, cutting off aid and controlling all shipping. The city was now isolated, the trap set. Mehmed gathered his army and new superweapons ready for the final blow. The Red Apple, as the Turks called Constantinople, was within his grasp. The world watched as the young Sultan prepared to make history. The city's fate would soon be sealed. Mehmed's preparations were meticulous and ruthless. The Byzantines could only watch as their doom approached. The dream of conquest was about to become reality. The final siege was imminent. Mehmed knew the city's walls were legendary, so he needed a new weapon. He turned to Orban, a Hungarian cannon founder who built massive bronze cannons after the Byzantines couldn't pay him. The largest, the basilic, could fire a 200-pound stone ball, an engineering marvel and a logistical nightmare. Moving it took 60 oxen and hundreds of men. Mehmed's army, up to 200,000 strong, assembled outside the city in April 1453. The Ottoman navy blockaded the city by sea. But the real terror was the artillery park, giant cannons aimed at the ancient walls. The thunder of gunpowder signaled a new era of warfare. The age of stone fortresses was ending, shattered by the power of Mehmed's guns. Constantinople's defenders faced a force unlike any before. The city's defense rested on just 7,000 men, including 2,000 foreign volunteers led by Genoese commander Giustiniani. Outnumbered 20-1, their hope lay in the Theodosian walls, a complex, multi-layered system stretching 4 miles. For centuries, these walls had repelled invaders, but now the defenders had to focus on the most vulnerable points. Giustiniani's leadership was crucial. His men patched breaches under relentless fire, using rubble and earth to hold the line. The city's harbour, the Golden Horn, was protected by a massive iron chain and a small fleet. For weeks, the defenders repelled attacks, repairing walls as fast as they were destroyed. The Ottoman navy was kept at bay. Hope flickered. Perhaps relief from Europe would arrive in time. The defenders' courage and ingenuity bought precious days. But the siege was tightening. The fate of the city hung by a thread. Every day was a battle for survival. The world watched as the ancient walls faced their greatest test. The siege began on April 6, 1453, with Ottoman cannons shaking the city. Bombardment was relentless. Stone balls smashed homes and churches, filling the air with dust and fear. Each night, defenders raced to repair breaches using anything they could find. Mehmed, frustrated by the chain blocking his navy, ordered ships dragged overland into the Golden Horn, a stunning feat that shocked the defenders. Now the city faced attack from both land and sea. Ottoman engineers dug tunnels to undermine the walls. Defenders countered with their own, leading to brutal underground battles. For nearly 2 months the city endured, but exhaustion and dwindling resources took their toll. The defenders' resilience was heroic, but the odds were overwhelming. The siege was a test of will, technology, and endurance. Constantinople's time was running out. Inside the city, survival became a daily struggle. Food was scarce and fear was constant. Emperor Constantine inspired his people, refusing to abandon them and sharing their hardships. Religious divisions faded as Greeks, Genoese, and Venetians united in defense. On the eve of the final battle, all gathered in Hagia Sophia for one last service, a moment of unity before the end. The Ottoman camp faced its own problems: restlessness, casualties, and disease. Mehmed knew he had to end the siege quickly. A brief glimmer of hope came when 4 ships broke the blockade, bringing supplies and lifting spirits, but no great relief fleet arrived. The city was alone. Hope faded as the siege dragged on. The defenders braced for the final assault. By late May, Mehmed was ready for the final assault. He offered surrender. Constantine refused, vowing to die with his city. On May 28th, the city fell silent. Ottoman troops rested and prayed, while inside the last Christian service was held in Hagia Sophia. That night, defenders took their positions on shattered walls, knowing the end was near. Just after midnight on May 29th, the attack began in waves. First irregulars, then Anatolian regiments, then the elite Janissaries. The defenders fought desperately, but exhaustion and wounds took their toll. Giustiniani, the key commander, was gravely wounded and carried away, causing panic. At that moment, Janissaries found an unlocked gate, the Kirka Porta, and stormed through, raising the Ottoman banner. The line broke. Attackers poured in. Emperor Constantine was last seen fighting at the breach, dying as a common soldier. The 1,000-year empire fell as dawn broke. The city was lost and the world changed forever. The fall of Constantinople marked the end of an era. The Queen of Cities had fallen. Mehmed's dream was realized. The Byzantine Empire was no more. A new age had begun. The city endured 3 days of sack. Thousands killed, treasures looted, libraries burned, and churches stripped. Tens of thousands were enslaved. Constantine VII died fighting, his body never found. Mehmed entered the ruined city, halted the looting, and converted Hagia Sophia into a mosque, symbolizing Ottoman triumph. Constantinople, now Istanbul, became the Ottoman capital for centuries. The fall shocked Europe, ending the last link to Rome and fueling the age of discovery as nations sought new trade routes. The siege proved gunpowder had ended the age of castles and knights, ushering in modern warfare. Greek scholars fleeing the city helped spark the Renaissance in Italy. The world map was redrawn and the modern era began. The fall of Constantinople was both an end and a beginning. It shaped the destiny of empires and the course of history. The Queen of Cities became a legend. Its legacy endures in the world we know today. The story of 1453 is the story of the birth of the modern world.